Now when jumping from the first to the fourth scale degree, which is an important transition to make, you must notice that the root on the first chord degree minor is Aeolian, and the scale respecting the fourth chord degree is Dorian. And this is the case even though all the notes are the same. And by cutting away the notes for first scale degree, you get minor pentatonic. And the same thing with this fourth chord degree. It is also true that if you cut away the flat seventh, instead of the sixth, you would get the minor sixth arpeggio. However, for this case, we're going to consider simply that it's a pentatonic, so there's no sixth. So in this case, you have minor pentatonic and minor pentatonic. And what happens when you want to jump from one to the other, from this one to this one, you get a shifting of your big pattern. So for this Aeolian bass, you get the big one, big two up here and down here. If you want to jump from the first to the fourth degree, what you have to do is move all the patterns up by one string. So where you would normally have big one, big two, and down here, everything gets shifted upwards, which means that where this was big two, this is now big one, and this is the root for Dorian. This is also the case for the D2 pattern. It gets shifted upwards, so this is the root for Aeolian, and this is the root for Dorian. So when you go upwards, you get D3, and then B1. But if you get the Aeolian bass, this is now D2, D3, big one, big two. And it's useful to jump from the fourth to the first and start back from whence you came. So to do that, you do sort of the opposite. You move all the patterns down a string. And the most prominent example we've talked about is, this is D2 of the Dorian-based arpeggio, or the Dorian-based pentatonic scale. And to do the Aeolian-based minor scale, everything got shifted down by one. So this is D2 for Dorian, D2 for Aeolian. And the same thing goes for the big patterns. This is the most prominent example because there are only two, and you see them being shifted. So they were down here, and don't let that trick you, because when they get pushed down, they come back up the top. So that's for Aeolian, still for Aeolian. And now I'm making this B2 into a B1, because everything gets shifted. B1, D3, D2, D1, big 2, or B2. Now for the turnarounds. On the question of turnarounds, just like the major blues progression, I found that there isn't a lot of emphasis on turnarounds as its own thing, and sticking to the blues track is a very valuable option, and it will keep you out of trouble. And there are some ways of tying the knot nicely, simply by playing the chord at the end. That builds some tension. Experiment with this. I don't have any definite or clear-cut solution, because I don't really think there is a definite solution in this case.